50,000 years ago, something monstrous stalked the Australian outback, a predator so massive it made modern crocodiles look like housepets. This was Megalania, the largest terrestrial lizard ever to walk the earth, stretching longer than 3 king-size beds laid end to end. With venom coursing through specialized glands, teeth like serrated daggers, and a body built for ambush, this creature dominated an entire continent for nearly 1.5 million years. It hunted giant marsupials the size of cars, battled marsupial lions for territory, and may have even encountered the first humans to reach Australia. Tonight, we journey back to a lost world where lizards ruled as apex predators, where every shadow could hide death, and where survival meant facing the ultimate reptilian nightmare. The bones that changed everything. The year is 1859, and halfway across the world from the dusty Australian outback, an English biologist sits in the British Museum examining a curious package. Sir Richard Owen, already famous for coining the term dinosaur, carefully unwraps 3 large vertebrae sent by colleagues searching for fossils along the Condamine River in Queensland. They had been digging through piles of marsupial bones when they discovered something that didn't belong, something far too large to be any known Australian mammal. Owen's trained, I immediately recognized what he was looking at. These were not mammal bones at all. The structure, the density, the articulation points, everything pointed to a reptile, but a reptile of staggering proportions. He named this mysterious carnivore Megalania, derived from Greek roots meaning great roamer, a name that would capture imaginations for generations to come. Though later reclassified as Varanus Priscus, placing it firmly within the monitor lizard family, the name Megalania stuck. It carried with it a sense of ancient terror, of something that prowled the prehistoric landscape with unstoppable power. Owen's discovery opened a window into a world that paleontologists had only dreamed about, a time when Australia was ruled not by mammals, but by a lizard so massive it redefined what reptiles could become. Following Owen's groundbreaking identification, more paleontologists turned their attention to the Australian Earth, digging through ancient sediments with renewed purpose. What they uncovered was fragmentary but tantalizing. Vertebrae, ribs, pieces of skull, and limb bones that together painted a picture of one of the most formidable predators to ever exist. Each new discovery added another piece to the puzzle, revealing a creature that seemed almost too monstrous to be real. The fossils told a story of power and adaptation, of a predator perfectly engineered for its environment. Unlike the sleek, relatively lightweight monitor lizards of today, Megalania was built like a tank, with stocky legs supporting a massive body that could weigh up to 600 kilograms. Its tail alone was a weapon, long and heavy, capable of delivering bone-crushing blows to rivals or prey. But it was the skull that truly revealed Megalania's nature as an apex predator, deep and powerful, housing jaws lined with sharp, serrated teeth designed to tear through flesh and crush bone. The teeth themselves were works of evolutionary art, each one curved and edged like a steak knife, perfect for slicing through the thick hides of giant marsupials. The exact size of Megalania remains debated among paleontologists, with estimates ranging from 5.5 to 7 meters in length. To put this in perspective, imagine a lizard longer than most cars, heavier than a grand piano, and equipped with the hunting instincts of a modern Komodo dragon magnified several times over. Because of its enormous body, Megalania's proportions likely differed from modern monitor lizards, which are built for speed and agility. Megalania was significantly more massive, requiring stocky legs to support its weight and a reinforced skeletal structure to handle the stresses of its size. This was not a creature built for marathon chases, but for patient ambush and overwhelming force. The discovery of Megalania fundamentally changed how scientists understood Australian prehistory, revealing that the continent had once been home to megafauna as impressive as anywhere else on Earth. While other continents had saber-toothed cats and giant bears, Australia had its own unique apex predator, a lizard that ruled with venom and teeth. the venom hypothesis. What makes a predator truly terrifying is not just its size or strength, but the weapons it wields. Megalania possessed one of nature's most insidious tools: venom, stored inside specialized glands in its lower jaw, waiting to be delivered with every bite. The venom hypothesis for Megalania comes from studying its modern relatives, particularly the Komodo dragon, which was only recently confirmed to be venomous. For years, scientists believed Komodo dragons killed through bacterial infection from their filthy mouths. But research revealed they actually produce venom that prevents blood clotting, causes massive blood loss, and induces shock in prey. If Megalania possessed similar venom, and the anatomical evidence suggests it did, then its hunting strategy becomes clear and chilling. A single bite from those serrated teeth would inject hemotoxic venom into the victim's bloodstream, preventing blood from clotting. The prey animal would continue bleeding from the wound, growing weaker with every passing minute as its cardiovascular system failed. Imagine being a giant marsupial grazing peacefully in the Pleistocene Australian bush when suddenly, from the shadows, Megalania strikes. The bite itself is devastating, teeth sinking deep into flesh, but the real horror begins afterward. The wound doesn't stop bleeding, blood pressure drops, and weakness spreads through the body like poison. The prey might escape the initial attack, but it's already doomed, slowly bleeding out as Megalania follows patiently behind, waiting for collapse. This hunting strategy is brutally efficient for a large predator that can't sustain high-speed chases. Why waste energy running down prey when you can simply bite once and wait? The venom does the work, transforming Megalania from a powerful but slow lizard into a patient executioner. The serrated teeth worked in perfect concert with the venom, creating wounds that were difficult to heal. Each tooth acted like a saw blade, tearing tissue as it entered and exited, maximizing blood loss. Combined with venom that prevented clotting, even a relatively minor bite could prove fatal over time. For prey animals in Pleistocene Australia, Megalania represented a nightmare scenario, a predator that could kill you slowly, that didn't need to overpower you in direct combat, that could simply wound you and follow until you collapsed. There was no outrunning it, no fighting it off. Once bitten, the outcome was almost inevitable. The world of giants. Megalania lived during the Pleistocene epoch, from approximately 1.5 million years ago until just 50,000 years ago. This was Australia's age of megafauna, when the continent hosted some of the largest and strangest creatures ever to evolve in isolation. The landscape Megalania prowled was vastly different from modern Australia, though recognizable in its broad strokes. Open forests mixed with grasslands and woodlands, creating a mosaic of habitats that supported incredible diversity. These mixed environments were perfect for an ambush predator like Megalania, offering both cover for hiding and open spaces where prey animals gathered. Most Megalania fossils come from eastern and southern Australia, suggesting these regions offered the richest hunting grounds. Picture vast stretches of woodland where eucalyptus trees cast dappled shadows across the forest floor, where bushes and undergrowth provided perfect concealment for a patient predator. Megalania would have hidden among this vegetation, its mottled skin blending with shadows, waiting for the telltale sounds of approaching prey. And what prey it was, Diprotodon. The largest marsupial ever to exist, stood almost 2 meters tall at the shoulder and weighed over 2,500 kilograms. Imagine an oversized wombat the size of a rhinoceros, with powerful legs and a bulky body covered in thick fur. Diprotodon was strong and formidable, but slow movements made it vulnerable to clever ambush predators. For Megalania, a full-grown Diprotodon represented a feast that could sustain it for weeks. The challenge was bringing down such a massive animal, but with venom and patience, even giants could fall. A well-placed bite to the leg or flank would start the process, venom spreading through the bloodstream while Megalania retreated to a safe distance. Hours or days later, the weakened Diprotodon would collapse, and Megalania would claim its prize. But Diprotodon wasn't the only giant marsupial that lived in fear of Megalania's shadow. Procoptodon, the largest kangaroo species ever known, stood 2 meters tall and possessed extremely powerful hind legs capable of delivering devastating kicks. These short-faced kangaroos were formidable in their own right, but even they were no match for the world's largest and deadliest lizard. The Pleistocene Australian ecosystem was a complex web of predator and prey relationships, with Megalania sitting firmly at the top. Its size alone gave it dominance over most other predators, and its venom provided an edge that few could counter. In this world of giants, Megalania was the ultimate apex predator. Scavenger and Thief. While Megalania was primarily a hunter, its tremendous size opened another avenue for obtaining food: scavenging and kleptoparasitism, the art of stealing kills from other predators. Picture a Thylacoleo, the marsupial lion, successfully bringing down a Procoptodon after a fierce struggle. The lion begins feeding, tearing into the fresh meat with its specialized teeth. Then from the shadows, Megalania emerges, 6 meters of scaled muscle moving with surprising speed. The marsupial lion, weighing only 160 kilograms, faces a predator nearly 4 times its size. The confrontation is brief. Megalania hisses, displaying its massive jaws and serrated teeth, and the marsupial lion retreats. It's not worth dying over a meal when other prey exists. Megalania claims the carcass, dragging it away with powerful jaws and throat muscles designed for swallowing large chunks of meat. Like modern monitor lizards, Megalania was likely a fast and efficient eater, consuming everything from meat to bones, organs, and tough skin. Its digestive system could handle almost anything, breaking down materials that would defeat other predators. This efficiency meant that once Megalania claimed a carcass, little went to waste. When food was particularly scarce, Megalania may have also raided nests, stealing eggs from large flightless birds and other reptiles. For an apex predator as large as Megalania, almost everything looked like food, and its opportunistic nature ensured it could survive even when hunting was difficult. The ability to scavenge and steal kills gave Megalania a crucial advantage during lean times. While specialized predators might starve when their preferred prey became scarce, Megalania could switch strategies, taking advantage of whatever food sources presented themselves. This flexibility likely contributed to its long evolutionary success, allowing it to dominate Australian ecosystems for nearly 1.5 million years. Rivals and competitors. Despite its dominance, Megalania was not the only large predator in Pleistocene Australia. The continent hosted a diverse array of carnivores, each competing for the same limited resources. The marsupial lion, Thylacoleo, was Megalania's primary competitor throughout much of the Pleistocene. These lion-sized carnivores were not related to modern cats, but had evolved similar adaptations: big grasping claws, powerful bites, and ambush hunting strategies. Weighing up to 160 kilograms, Thylacoleo mostly hid among dense vegetation, stalking prey before pouncing for the kill. Fossil evidence suggests Thylacoleo and Megalania preyed upon many of the same animals, particularly large marsupials like Procoptodon. This overlap inevitably led to competition, with both predators vying for territory and food sources. Encounters between these apex predators may have occasionally turned violent, with each species testing the other's resolve. Imagine such a confrontation: Thylacoleo, agile and equipped with retractable claws, facing off against Megalania, massive and venomous. The marsupial lion has speed and climbing ability on its side, but Megalania has size, armor-like skin, and a bite that delivers death slowly. These battles likely ended with one predator retreating rather than fighting to the death, but when resources were scarce, violence may have been unavoidable. Megalania also faced competition from other large reptiles, specifically Quinkana, a giant terrestrial crocodile. Unlike modern crocodiles that spend much of their lives in water, Quinkana was fully adapted to life on land, with longer, more vertical legs and a more agile body. Ranging from 3 to 6 meters in length, Quinkana was similar in size to modern saltwater crocodiles, but built for terrestrial hunting. Its blade-like teeth were designed for slicing through skin and flesh, making it a formidable predator in open forests and woodlands. Though we lack direct fossil evidence of conflicts between Megalania and Quinkana, these giant reptiles almost certainly crossed paths. Both hunted similar prey in similar habitats, making competition inevitable. Picture two ancient reptilian predators, each representing millions of years of evolution, meeting at a waterhole or over a fresh kill. The tension would have been palpable, two apex predators sizing each other up, deciding whether the prize was worth the risk. Territorial battles. Beyond competition with other species, Megalania likely engaged in fierce territorial disputes with members of its own kind. Modern monitor lizards, particularly Komodo dragons, are largely solitary animals that maintain large territories and aggressively defend them from rivals. If Megalania behaved similarly, and all evidence suggests it did, then adult males would have roamed across vast geographic ranges, driving out other predators and rival Megalania that attempted to hunt or live on their land. These territories may have encompassed dozens of square kilometers, with the largest and strongest males claiming the richest hunting grounds. When a rival male intruded on established territory, conflict was inevitable. These territorial disputes probably involved violent confrontations, with males using their powerful jaws, sharp claws, and heavy tails as weapons. Picture two 6-meter lizards circling each other, hissing and displaying, each trying to intimidate the other into retreat. If intimidation failed, physical combat would follow, jaws snapping, tails whipping, claws raking across scaled skin. Megalania, like Komodo dragons, may have been immune to its own venom, but its teeth and claws were still deadly weapons capable of inflicting serious injuries. These battles would have been brutal spectacles, two titans of the Pleistocene clashing with primal fury. The victor would claim or retain territory, while the loser would retreat, wounded and forced to find new hunting grounds. For Megalania, dominance meant survival, access to the best prey, and the opportunity to pass on genes to the next generation. The human encounter. Between 65,000 and 50,000 years ago, the first humans arrived in Australia, migrating from Southeast Asia across land bridges and short sea crossings. These Aboriginal Australians were the first people to set foot on the continent, entering a world unlike anywhere else on Earth. Paleontologists believe Megalania survived long enough to encounter these first human settlers, creating one of the most fascinating intersections of human and megafauna history. Aside from temporal overlap, some of the most compelling evidence comes from indigenous folklore. In Aboriginal stories, powerful, monstrous lizards like the hui trampled the ground and shaped the landscape. These creatures were said to be so gigantic they could devour entire tribes in a single meal. While clearly mythological and exaggerated, these stories may preserve cultural memories of real encounters with Megalania. The Aboriginal Australians also referenced other giant reptilian predators, like the rainbow serpent, a creator deity probably inspired by prehistoric snakes. These giant reptiles remain fixtures of indigenous mythology, playing important roles in ancient culture and storytelling traditions. In stories, Megalania terrorized early settlers, but in reality, humans may have driven the world's largest lizard to extinction. A single human stood little chance against Megalania, but as humans spread across the continent, they dramatically influenced Australia's ecosystems. Indigenous land management practices involved burning large areas of vegetation to reduce or encourage growth. These controlled fires altered local environments, causing changes in vegetation and animal distributions. Many species were also hunted by humans for meat, hides, and other resources. populations of large browsers like Diprotodon and Procoptodon rapidly decreased around the same time humans settled on the Australian mainland, with habitats distorted and food sources depleted. Megalania was one of many large animals unfit to survive in a human-dominated world. Megalania did not live to see the modern world, but its legacy endures in fossils, folklore, and our understanding of what reptiles can become. This giant lizard ruled an entire continent for over 1 million years, a testament to the power of evolutionary adaptation. As we continue uncovering new fossils, we may discover that Megalania was even more extraordinary than we thought. In the shadows of Australia's past, the greatest lizard ever to walk the earth still prowls, immortal in stone and story.